Greetings, greetings. It's Dr. Jonathan with another live recorded 12 at 12. So tonight I am recording this for you tomorrow, but as always, it is unscripted and largely unprepared. Today's topic is pretty interesting one, I have to admit, at least interesting to me. And it's about how do we take the current political situation in the United States with a focus on the president and turn that into an intimate, personal life lesson. Well, if you're curious how we might do that, take a breath, sit back, let's get centered, and then stay tuned. So eyes closed, sitting comfortably but alert. I'm going to invite you just to let go of any questions, any needs, any stress, and just kind of tune into yourself in the moment. In fact, today I'm going to invite you to put your right hand over your heart and your left hand over your belly. Now, research shows, and it's not really understood why just yet, but research shows that this posture with a hand on the chest and a hand on the belly has a natural calming effect, and it helps us to reconnect with our higher perspective, perhaps the frontal or neocortex, and feel a sense of nourishment and restoration. For about 25% of the population, the reverse hand position is preferred. So let's go back to the hand position. One on your heart, one on your belly, eyes closed. Big slow breath in. Hold it a moment. Notice tension, tightness, distress, distraction. Breathe it out. Really long. Long exhale. Feel your shoulders relax. The muscles in your face relax. And then repeat the process, breathing in through the nose fully, holding your breath a moment, gathering up whatever feels like tension, tightness, or stress, and then let it go. Breathe it out. And as you feel yourself coming to this calmer place, this quieter place, this is the chance we have to step back and look at ourselves, our situations, our life, whatever's unfolding, to slow down, return to our center and get centered. And get perspective from the center is one of the most important things we can learn to do. It doesn't mean we don't engage people fully. It doesn't mean we check out. It doesn't even mean that we don't have strong feelings and reactions. It just means that we develop the ability to step outside all of it, create some space and awareness around it. And then we can explore what feels right, what feels authentic. Now, having said all that, there's a lot of intensity around the president of the United States these days. Now, that's probably the biggest understatement of the year. And I'm going to be clear that I'm not actually going to say anything in favor or against the current American president. All I'm going to say is this. If you struggle to face the tensions, if you struggle with the divisions, if you feel strongly opposed to one side or another, consider the famous old spiritual song, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Remember that one? Yeah, I think you learned it when you were a kid. Life is but a dream. Now, if you take life as being a kind of dream, in other words, it's one of many levels of your awareness. The everyday life, the ordinary life, it's one of only many levels of your consciousness, and it's certainly only one of many facets of this universe that is constantly expanding and changing and flowing in all kinds of directions. Okay, you get the point. Let's treat life like a dream. When you treat life like a dream, then it means that you can look at everything as a kind of metaphor. So it's not all literally true, it's all pointing to you or pointing you to something deeper, something more significant, a life lesson, right? A symbol, a sign. But when we specifically look at the tensions and topics relating to the current president, we find ourselves polarized, and we often find ourselves feeling like we cannot even dignify some aspects of the tension of either side, that we have to make one side wrong. We have to stand for a kind of justice that means we will not tolerate the other, whichever other is your other. And yet, that is often what the president is accused of, which is curious. That the very thing that some people, you might say, hate most about him is actually evoked in them. That's weird, right? So here's the opportunity. If life is like a dream, then you want to consider that maybe everybody is a reflection of you. Every character in your dream life might be considered as an extension of you or as you. So you dream about your mother, you dream about your neighbor, you dream about some guy walking his dog. And at some level, there is a kind of therapeutic, spiritual and psychological value to consider that maybe that dog is you. Why did you pick that dog? Why that height? Why that age, right? Why that guy walking down the street? If it all has something to teach us, and it's all, quote, just a dream, then we unplug from the emotional charge and the fear of being right or wrong, the drive to control, and instead we just observe and question and learn. Now, one of the obvious things that comes up is that people will say, well, one thing that's been great about the current president is that he has helped to reveal the truth of the nation, which I think is a pretty fair thing to say. I mean, it's not like all the people that are in the news now on either side of any issue weren't there the year before he was elected. But he created a dynamic of polarization in which people felt compelled to reveal their positions. Okay. So some people say that's the great lesson. That's why he's there. He's there to help us see what needs to be addressed and address it. Okay, fair enough. But let's make this more personal. How is it that his behavior reflects your behavior or my behavior? It might not sound relatable, might not sound desirable, depending on your view. You might think it sounds perfectly desirable. Well, then you can pick his opponent. You can say the same thing. How does his behavior reflect you? You see, it seems to me that we all have the whole world inside us. And given the right conditions, any aspect of what we have seen outside the world can suddenly become our own experience. For those that think of the president as a kind of tyrant, someone who feels like things have to be his way or no way, someone who sometimes sounds a bit childish when talking about things that he doesn't really know about, but sort of makes up things or just insists that he's right because he says he's right. People can feel a lot of reaction to that. How could anyone be like that? How could the president be like that? And yet, how do we feel when we sit waiting for a parking spot and then someone comes in from the other side of the parking lot and takes it? Do we feel magnanimous, grateful, relaxed, and easy? We just move on? Or do we feel stubborn, indignant, angry? Some of you even get out of the car, knock on the window. Hey, I was waiting there. You didn't see me? Right? And what about in our relationships? Who's right? Who's wrong? How many times have I told you not to put it there? How many times have I told you to pick it up? How can you talk to me that way? How can you talk to me that way? This could be parents and kids. This could be spouses, friends, neighbors. We often engage the world at a level far below the maturity that we're capable of. And when we see that in other people, wouldn't it be significant? Wouldn't it be powerful if we let that be a reminder that that's us sometimes? Maybe not as often as we think, or maybe not as often as we'd like to admit, but that we too have our tantrums. We too have our kind of fake news in our own life. The reality is the whole world thrives on fake news. Relationships thrive on fake news. Drama thrives on fake news. What do I mean? What I mean by that is that we make our emotions into facts. So it goes from the feeling that that person makes me uncomfortable to a judgment about that person that eventually becomes fact. You can't trust them. I don't like them. They're no good, whatever it might be. Rather than simply being in a mature place of ownership. When they do the following, I feel like this. Very simple. Own your part and question what you can learn from every player in the story. In the end, if more and more of us could recognize where we invest in being right, in being in control, in being in power, in image and ego over substance, authenticity, meaning, and connection, probably our lives would change. Probably our communities would change. Probably our world would change. And it doesn't happen by us waiting for someone else to get it or for someone else to do it first, even if it is the president. With any behavior that we experience in the world that upsets us, that triggers us, there's an opportunity to see that same behavior in ourselves. And yes, you may have other reasons to be upset, justice, childhood, trauma. Of course, that's all fair. But the question is, where do you live from? Where do you act from? Where do you make decisions or communicate from? Is it in the highest self that you can envision? Is it in the self that can acknowledge that you have all these characters playing out themselves inside you, but with the knowledge that you can choose which side of the fence or neither? Or maybe emulate something or someone completely different. So to close, when we have a figure in the world like the current American president, it's important that if we are believers of wellness through oneness and spirit as all, then it's important that we don't create a division even from him, that we welcome his experience, his characters and qualities into our consciousness and leave nothing in the shadows of our awareness, nothing in the shadows of our life, that we're willing to admit that everything and anything that we see in the world can and does exist in us. How will we take responsibility for the American president that we are, for the way we're presidents of our own inner countries and the other partners we have in this world? It's something to think about, and I hope it's helpful. So take care. If you want to learn more, go to jonathanellerby.com. You can pick up a free book. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube page. I'll see you soon. Take care.